Hello, welcome. My name is Cleopadia Mushaudi, famously known as Cleo in the dining room at Caux. But yeah, I'm a friend to everybody. My name is Cleo, and I am a Creators of Peace facilitator, and I'm also the national coordinator of IFC South Africa. However, those hats do not matter because today I'm your host, but I can only make this 2 hours together exciting when we do it together. So thank you again for being here. So it's a good morning for others, it's a good afternoon for others, and it's a good night for others, and everybody is welcomed. So just a few house rules to go through. This meeting is being recorded because there's just a vast of us around the globe, and some might find it struggling with the bandwidth. So to make sure that they can see the streaming after, that's why we're recording. And also for the fact that this is the first ever online 30th celebration of the Creators of Peace. And I think we might want to keep that on our memoir. So yet, let's clap our hands for everybody who's here. It's a big celebration.
It is.
So the meeting is being recorded, and kind request to everybody is just to keep yourself on mute so that we can be able to hear the speakers. And also you're free to turn off your video camera if you would want to, but it's fun for me to see everybody. Some of us, we've not seen each other for a couple of years, and others are new friends to be made. So on this call today, because we've asked that everybody can mute, please also feel free to use the chat with just one request. Please be kind and be respectful with things that you'll be writing on the chat box. You're also free to chat to friends if you'd like to chat to on a direct or private mail. So this call, it has translation. It's English, which is the main language. We have translation by Erica from English to Spanish, by Renu from English to Hindi, and by Hidayah from English to French. And if you would like to hear only translation, not two languages, English and your translated language, please make sure on the bottom point, and when you look below your screen, you will see there's a bar with different icons, and there's a globe that's written interpretation. So when you click there, you'll find the language of choice you would like to hear this call on. Click on that and you would be on the language of your choice. We only have Spanish, Hindi, and French. Otherwise, we'll all be listening in English. And then if you're finding anything, please just write on that chat box with any struggles with that, and the tech team would help. So on this call, it's a call by the family, the global family of the Creators of Peace. And we are a global network of women, and this program was initiated or launched in 1991 at the Initiatives of Change Conference Center at Caux, Switzerland, by Anna Delam Segwa, a respected politician and trailblazer of women-led organization in Tanzania. In her inauguration speech, she urged everyone to create peace wherever we are, in our hearts, in our homes, in our workplace, and in our community. We all pretend that someone else is a stumbling block, but could that someone else be myself? So that was the big question asked. So in this 2 hours together, I'll just share just the flow of the program. We'll first have the opening by the president, and then we'll hear from our keynote speaker, Ms. Ahuna. And then from there, we will be hearing case studies of different people who are willing to share their story and journey of Creators of Peace in their own country. So it will be case study from South Africa, Syria, Nepal, and the UK. Then after that, we will have our breakout rooms. Before the breakout rooms, we will see a video or a film that showcases the 30 years of work. That is an exciting slot I'm looking forward to. So hopefully you are, and I'll be looking at which part of that film am I going to appear. Hopefully that would also entice you to look through. Once we've seen the video or the film, we will also have go into our breakout rooms. So there are 5 different discussion points in those breakout rooms. Choose your favorite that you would like to be part of, and the discussion would go on for 30 minutes in those breakout rooms. After the breakout rooms, we'll have a silent space and then slowly wrap up the call. So that's how we see the 2 hours together. As a symbol, often many of us who've gone through the peace circle, we often light a candle. And as a gesture to that, I'd like to do that. But when we light the candle, it's not a ritual. We're not doing anything funny, but we're simply calling on to the peace and whatever hopes that we're seeking for. So please do allow me to light the candle. I'll turn it off when we end. So on this note, I'd like to call the president of International Creators of Peace, Amina Dikedi Ajakaye. I promised Auntie I will not read the big bio. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Cleo, and welcome to everyone. Happy 30th anniversary. Creators of Peace is 30 years old. Permit me to congratulate everyone in COP worldwide. To our initiator, Anna Abdallah Msekwa, I wish she was here. And then some of our founding mothers, I know some of them are here. Congratulations to our elders, all our national coordinators, facilitators of our peace circles and advocates for a new story, and everyone who has taken part in a Creators of Peace event anywhere in the 50+ countries around the globe. I want to also especially express my thanks to friends and family of Initiatives of Change worldwide for the support and accompaniment extended to us in many, many ways. Thank you to you all for being here. This is indeed a very historic moment. And I ask for your special prayers for me to contain my excitement for the duration of this event. I see also that some other friends that I've not seen in many years have tuned in. This is super. Well, moments like this give us opportunity to look back with pride and gratitude for all that we have achieved together. I am often amazed at the power of a seed thought. When nurtured in the right environment, grows and blossoms. I recall when Mama Anna Abdallah in 1989 sowed the seed thought about women becoming more than society have defined them and accepted as norm. Something resonated in me, and I have not looked back since then. After 2 years of planning, the first international conference was hosted in Caux, Switzerland in 1991. And I am happy that some friends who were at that occasion are here. I especially would like to welcome my friend, Ahona Eziakonwa, who will be speaking later. We were young ladies out of university, full of ideas, enthusiastic, and bursting with energy, ready to take on the world. Our backgrounds propelled us to run with the baton that Anna Abdallah passed on to us. We did this alongside those other older friends, many older friends and colleagues who equally embraced this idea of peace, starting with oneself. As we express our gratitude today, we also remember in grief many friends who have died, passing on the baton to the rest of us. I remember Trish McDonald, Monica McIntosh, Louise Diamond, Bukiwe Maseko, to mention a few. May the light that they lit keep shining. Still on grief, many people around the world are grieving due to COVID-related deaths. The loss of certainty for migrants and all internally displaced people around the world due to conflicts, some due to environmental degradation or collapse of economies. Many have lost hope due to the loss of jobs or businesses, and the list goes on. So we take today to acknowledge the pain in the world. Creators of peace in the last 5 years, we have been grappling with issues to do with growth and identity. Some of you would agree with me that many women and men, for many women and men, 30 is a transitional phase in our lives. Who are we at 30? Who or what have we been in the last 30 years? And who are we meant to be in the next 30 years? As creators of peace, we have largely been a grassroots peace movement with a global impact. Our main tool has been the Creators of Peace circles hosted by trained facilitators. I want to say thank you to Jean Brown, who designed this tool. We equally have more tools being developed to enhance our approach to building peace and enabling trust. For those of you who have not experienced our peace circles or advocates for a new story, please check our websites and other social media handles to register yourself to have a lifetime experience that many have enjoyed. So Creators of Peace have also extended its effectiveness by collaborating with other organizations and programs. A few examples. I guess you'll be hearing more of this later. Creators of Peace has collaborated with the municipality of Johannesburg in South Africa. In Sydney, Creators of Peace has collaborated with the Department for Peace Studies at Sydney University in Australia. In Melbourne, also in Australia, COP has collaborated with Migrant Resource Center to work with migrant women. And I also mentioned Nigeria. Within initiatives of change, we are currently part of the trust building program, which is taking place in Nepal and South Africa. At this point in our journey, the challenge before us is to define who or what creators of peace wish to be in the next 30 years. Who are we becoming? What does growth look like to us? What new stories and opportunity should we be creating for the next 30 years? Allow me to mention 3 areas I have been thinking about. One is to prepare the next level of leaders and drivers of change. There is need to enhance capacity for involvement of young people in our program. But I also want to mention that for starters, COP UK and Nepal have started peace circles with teenagers. Secondly, we are being called to be more and to do more. And what does that mean? We need more institutional funding. Thus far, our work has largely depended on our incredible volunteers, with a few exceptions in places like Mali, South Africa, Burundi, Melbourne, where we got institutional funding. This has raised a new set of challenge for the International Committee of Creators of Peace. We need funding for core expenses and for a few paid staff to manage the affairs of the organization. We need not just to ensure the integrity of our tools, that is, for example, our peace circles, but also of our administrative and financial structures. We also need experienced fundraisers to come on board to support our efforts. Thirdly, as creators of peace, we also want to see more women engaged in peace talks around the world as stakeholders and co-creators of peace at national and international levels. Can we together aim to facilitate peace circles at those levels? So my invitation to you today is, as friends, collaborators, and colleagues, will you join us to ensure the sustainability of this work of transforming lives and communities, one woman at a time? Together, we can be more. Thank you all so much for being here, and happy anniversary. I pass on the word back to Cleo.
Thank you for that warm welcome and painting the picture of where we are right now and where we would like to go. And it's a great challenge for all of us to think around the sustainability. So I'm going to just invite us to just take this moment to just take in what's been shared with us. Thank you. I'd now like to welcome a phenomenal lady who has agreed to be our keynote addresser. The first time I met Ahuna, it was in Caux, and the biggest hug she gave me is the one I can always remember her with. Miss Ahuna Eziokwana is the Assistant Administrator and Director in the Regional Bureau of Africa in the United Nations Development Program, and is at the rank of an Assistant Secretary General. She is leading development and humanitarian specialist with over 20 years experience in the United Nations. In 1991, she was one of those who, supporting the vision of Tanzania's Minister of Parliament, Ms. Anabdella Msekwa, coordinated and ran the international conference at Caux in Switzerland, which was the start of now the global movement of the creators of peace. Ms. Ahuna, next to you.
Thank you so much, Cleo, for that introduction. How wonderful to see everyone, both faces that I recognize from the past and new faces. What a circle this is. I am so excited. And I really want to thank you, Amina, as now president, and the entire organizing committee for thinking of me. I feel quite humbled to have been asked to deliver this message I'm not a guest, actually. I'm part of the whole system here, so I wouldn't call it a guest speaker so much. The Creators of Peace journey actually began 33 years ago. I mean, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was in 1988, because I know we invested 3 years in the planning, when this remarkable woman, who has already been introduced, a woman of substance, came to Caux and got us all thinking with a simple idea. What if we had a conference on peace that went beyond making political statements. And she shared with us how she herself, as a politician, had gone to a zillion peace conferences, but there she felt it wasn't so much about peace, it was more about politics. And Cole gave her some insight as to what could be different, how this could be done differently. And she challenged us, most of us in that gathering. And I was one of those struck by this and inspired. I don't think I'd ever quite heard a politician be so honest on a global stage about her role as a politician. And I was reflecting as I was preparing for this statement on why in my early 20s, I was so inspired by this thought that I volunteered to be its first international coordinator without actually knowing what that meant and without a salary for 3 years to bring this idea to birth. I thought I must have really believed in this. And I came up with 3 things. First was the honesty, just that human heart connecting with its authenticity and its realness. I thought, wow, we can truly make something of this. The second was the inclusive nature of the thought, because note that this was not termed a women's conference, and we had many debates in the back room as to how to best describe this. And we know that Anna Abdallah was not talking about a women's conference or something that was just about women. So we ended up with the word initiative, an initiative of women, but inclusive of men and everyone else. And the third was its universality and its depth. Peace is not just the absence of war, she said. That concept that peace begins with you and that it spreads from you to your family, to the communities, and then to the nation. In other words, it just didn't grow out of nothing. It had to begin somewhere. And we as individuals were the entry point for peace. I knew then that I wanted to become a creator of peace. There was something very appealing about this concept. And I wanted to be the type of leader that applied both heart and head to my leadership, to my role, a compassionate leader. And that this would be my greatest contribution to peace in the world. If I took care of the things that led to the absence of peace in my own conduct. Somehow, I knew that this idea would be enduring, not just
She's on mute.
Huna, you're on mute again somehow.
Apologies about that, Awuna. Can you please unmute?
Sure, maybe somebody muted me in the process of muting someone else. So let me get back to it then. Sorry about that. And it was, indeed about planting that root. And those roots have grown. And it was about making sure this was an undying idea. So 30 years on, after the inaugural conference in Caux, here we are. We've seen the shoots. And not only that, we see the trees and we see the fruits. We are indebted to those who carried the torch and kept it burning. And I feel personally grateful to all of you in the room who have kept this going. Jean Brown, Amina, now the president, Christian Gara, I see you in the room. I see some old friends from the the men as well, who were very supportive. I see Howard Grace, for instance, an old friend. The men were right there with us, supporting from behind, but fully committed. And your commitment to the continuation of this idea in the form of the peace circles is really the victory. It's really what we celebrate today. Because it was a loosely kind of hanging structure. There was really not a lot of structure to it. And many of you who have continued have done so in a voluntary manner. A lot of thought went into designing the logo. And here I want to recognize the late Elsa Hamilton, my dear friend, whose brilliance and thoughtfulness contributed largely to the logo design that we have today. And little did we know then that this would be the most enduring and meaningful part of the idea, those circles. Little did we know that this idea was born for a time such as this one, where the world is experiencing new forms of violence within, in communities, the absence of war, within the absence of war. The violence brought on by COVID-19, as Amina just alluded to, generating such deep and senseless loss, such pain and grief everywhere in the world. Little did we know that this idea will come in handy with a world where the environment, where our planet bleeds as a result of our own greed and our own violent acts on planet Earth. And as you imagine the transition period that Amina was talking about, these are things to take into account. Creators of peace is an idea that needs to accompany humanity through to eternity, because the world will always need healing. And as individuals, we will always need to learn how to be at peace with ourselves, at peace with our families, at peace with our neighbors, and at peace with our planet. Big congratulations for 30 years of impact and demonstration of proof of concept that this could really work, that this really works. What are we without peace, I ask? And who are we when we do not choose the path of peace? Creators of Peace, for me, was a turning point. It is certainly this idea that, and the experience of bringing it to birth with so many great women and men around the world, that deepened my faith in the power of our collective humanity. That despite so much pain and suffering that we witness on a daily basis, there lives alongside that a huge force of good in the human heart. And it is demonstrated in the room today. Each one of you, those I know and those I haven't met, in your own way, you have relentlessly fought for change. Our world will be much worse today without that contribution. It was this experience that clarified for me how purposeful living. And it is with Creators of Peace that I made my personal pledge to dedicate my career to creating peace across the world. This journey, although accounting for about 5 years of my life with Creators of Peace, has ultimately defined what is now a 25-year journey towards peace, albeit from different dimensions. I've come to learn that peace is your proverbial life cause that does not have one single solution. I've grown to see that there is a role for political settlements and representation, but also for humanitarian action and ultimately for development actors. Today, I would just like to share with you some lessons and reflections on this journey for me. And in doing so, just to cast a little bit beyond the 30 years of Creators of Peace, asking us the question, what the major characteristics of the global peace architecture were at these times, and how these lessons inform what we may consider as critical entry points for sustaining action as creators of peace. And the key word here is sustaining peace. So if we look back to the 90s, a decade that was really characterized as a lost decade, we saw the Persian Gulf War, we saw Israeli-Palestinian conflict, we saw the troubled times in the Great Lakes region, including the Rwanda genocide. We saw the wars in the Congos, West Africa, the Bosnia War, and so on and so forth. And then we entered the 2000s, the decade that witnessed also the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, Syrian War, and the continuation of the Israeli-Palestinian War. 2011, another decade, we saw Libya, we saw Afghanistan, Israeli occupation of the Gaza Strip, so on and so forth. And then we saw the decade that commenced with 2021. Some of these classical conflicts did end, but others have arisen. And we are seeing new forms of violence, violent extremism, the whole war on terror that actually continues to generate new frontiers of violence and create new extremist groups, Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram, and the list is endless. But these decades were not just only about war. They were also about our climate. We began to see that we had become the enemy of our very host, the earth, in the ways that we consumed and produced. And we were beginning to see the impact of this in some very violent ways. So where are the solutions? Is it a single approach or more a basket of goods? And let me maybe share my personal experience in the years since I left the Creators of Peace organizing group, but never left creating peace. I started off by coincidence, maybe not by coincidence, with the peacekeeping department of the UN. Again, with that desire, that hunger to figure out how to attach myself to an institution that will help bring peace to the world. And I wanted to understand how an organization like the UN tries to keep peace or could do it. I was in the lessons learned unit. And there was by choice because I wanted us to be able to do it better. Then we learned that you can only keep peace that actually exists. And in many of these contexts, there was no peace to keep. Then there was peace enforcement, which was very difficult to enact as well. Many conflicts persisted, even with the best efforts of the United Nations. We had few successes, but they were ones we could count on one hand. I worked, we saw the painful lessons of how you cannot keep peace if it doesn't exist. And I spent 10 years of that career, of my career, in the humanitarian space as well, and learned that there is an important role for those who come first to stitch the wounds and provide basic supplies. This has provided solutions for desperate people in countless situations and saved millions of lives and continues to do so. And yet, I have also learned that the real solution is not the Band-Aid, for even without intent, what has been created often is a perpetuation of need. And so now, close to 30 years since my own initial association with Creators of Peace, an institution which I think I will remain an ambassador for the rest of my life. I do believe that there is an underrated role for development solutions in creating and sustaining peace. What creates the absence of peace? It's fundamentally exclusion, marginalization, and disrespect for another human being's right to dignity. Understanding this, I think it's important for all of us who want to be creators of peace, that we have to foster inclusion. We have to foster inclusive societies where every man, woman, and child has a chance to realize their potential, that we can expand their choices to live a life of dignity. We're talking about human development, expanding those choices on a daily basis for people rather than restricting them, because that's what we see, a shrinking of the choices that people have. Whether you're a young girl who is not allowed to own property because you're not a man, or who is given away in marriage way too soon before you even become a teenager because you have to take care of others, or you're a man who comes from a poor family and who's cheated out of everything that he could own because of lack of knowledge or no access to the seat of power. I would like to posit today that the absence of peace is ultimately caused by the failure to invest in those core enablers for human dignity. You know, according to the World Bank, 9.2% of the world population, which is about 689 million people, live in extreme poverty on less than $1.90 a day. And the World Bank also notes that more than 40% of the global poor live in economies affected by fragility, conflict, and violence. And I truly believe now more than ever that the solutions for creation of sustainable peace lie in investment in the Sustainable Development Goals. They rely in the investment that will create prosperity for all, shared prosperity, but one that is done in a way that we also protect the planet. And that's contained in the Sustainable Development Goals. But it's not all about poverty, material poverty. It's also about spiritual poverty. And we see the expression of spiritual poverty in affluent societies where violence continues to reign despite riches, wealth, and the abundance of material well-being. We see perhaps the deepest expression of violence is when someone opts to take their own lives. The countries with the highest suicide rates are often those with the highest material wealth. Why is this? We see a growth of mental health situations today, where millions of people, despite having all the material wealth in the world, are deeply disturbed on the inside. They're not at peace with themselves. They're feeling lonely and alone. So we see there the deficiencies of our lack of community expressing themselves in these forms. So we talk today about how Creators of Peace helps us to navigate these paths of poverty in the material and poverty in the spiritual. First, it is an indictment on the global conscience that extreme poverty is a definitor of the lives of millions. And it's equally an indictment on our sense of humanity and collective humanity, that we see the extreme pain, misery, and loss of dignity even in those who have. Second, it is not enough to survive. We must work to ensure that communities thrive, and thriving has many sinews to it. Therefore, those investments in the enablers for people's most productive talents to be put to their most lucrative use should be the business of all actors. For when people thrive, they will be less inclined to be drawn into actions against peace. Third, we have to think about and act on sustainability. The world's 7.9 billion people all demand resources on the planet. By 2030, this number is anticipated to reach 8.5 billion. Some have foretold that the next wars will be about resources, water, for example. One could put food in that basket too. And sometimes it's not just about the lack of food, it's the patterns of consumption and the perversion of food systems. How are we investing in securing and sustaining futures for all? Amina, that could be the key question for the transition that you point to. When one interrogates these factors and without any intent of fear mongering, the reality of delivering on the UN Sustainable Development Goals becomes even more pressing. And I want to urge all of you to look at those 17 goals because it is comprehensive, it is universal, it is all encompassing. So I started out with creators of peace and I remain a convert and a preacher of this gospel, but it is not yet Uhuru. We are not yet there. I think engagement on development solutions is a core part of the solutions mix in getting us there. And I want to invite all of you to think as well as act on how the economic and development aspects of creators of peace are central to solutions, and would very much like to explore how we partner with this incredible network around the world with the UN Development Program, which I now work with. Once again, congratulations, and here's to the next 30 years. And thank you so very much for holding this torch up. Back to you, Cleo.
Wow, wow, wow. I think appreciation goes out. So many claps of hands. Ahuna, you've hit the spot. So much of thinking and acting is needed from us. So I'm going to invite us to just take a minute again to ingest what's just been shared with us. Thank you. Ahuna and Amina, they've just painted the picture of how the world looks like and what we need to do. So I'd like to call in 4 ladies to join me in a discussion of what is it that they're doing using creators of peace to answer to some of the issues that have been mentioned by the both 2 speakers. I'd like to call in Gladys Mabi from South Africa, Ayman Al-Ghafari from Syria, Mena from Nepal, Mena Sharma, and Miranda Shaw from the UK. So the 4 of us will be engaging in hearing what is it that you're doing. So I'd like to start with you, Mena. What is COP doing in Nepal? If you can unmute, Mena. Please unmute.
Yeah, now.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Cleo. Namaste, everyone. I'm Meena from Nepal. And here in Nepal, I'm working as a Creators of Peace facilitator and also working as an executive committee member of IOFC Nepal. And as Amina already told that we are implementing this trust building program in Nepal. We are blending trust building and COP activities. So till now, me and my team here in Nepal, we have worked with more than 5,000 plus youth from different provinces of Nepal. So that is for us a huge achievement. And wherever we go, we feel the need of calling. People want to continue this. If we work with one group, they want us to go and work with their friends circle and all that things. So that is the way we are replicating our program here in Nepal. So today I have a bunch of great memories to share with you all. However, I would like to share with you one story that has stuck with me. It's the story of a 22-year-old lady. So we were running a peace circle in eastern region of Nepal. In our peace circle, she arrived around like 9:30 a.m. on the very first day of our peace circle. Actually, our session began at 9 a.m. explaining that her Didi, in Nepali, elder sister is called Didi. So her Didi asked her to join the training. She came, okay, training is here, I'm here. And I sensed that she was physically in the circle during the peace circle, but mentally out somewhere while we discussed the first gathering point, followed by my story and all. She was very quiet throughout the day, and she opened up about like 4 p.m. and expressed a desire to share something. She revealed that she was forcibly married to a 40-year-old man who did not seek dowry from her family. But a week later, she discovered that he was a gay. So she thought that her parents had destroyed her life and that she could not go back to them as a result of societal pressure and the stigma of being a bad woman. She began preparing to kill herself to save her family reputation and get rid of the person. And she, while speaking, she added that I have kept a strong nylon rope beneath my bed and I will use it one day very soon. So that was her last comment. As a facilitator, we listened to her story, reflected and followed the processes of Peace Circle. And as we were leaving the program venue, she remarked and coming to me saying, Didi, I might come or not come tomorrow, so you don't wait for me like today and start the circle on time. So that was her last remark to me. June 12, that was the first day of Peace Circle. June 12 night was the longest night of my life. I could not sleep for more than an hour. I took my phone out from the drawer more than 20 times just to contact her, but I never really did that. The next day, I was supposed to arrive at the program venue at 9 a.m., but I went at 7 a.m. and started waiting for the participant, especially for her. She arrived around 8:45 a.m. wearing a dark, pink, dazzling, beautiful sari with a huge smile on her face. And like after seeing her, I could not stop myself, and I hugged her on the gate with teary eyes. So that was my experience with her. And she described expressing her grief with the group of women. And as she said that you are applying ointment on the wound that she was carrying for so long. And she said that listening to her words without judging her is another it's a therapeutic experience for her. She felt liberated and wanted to engage more with us and young people in Nepal who are living in desperation as a result of harmful traditional and cultural practices. So I can still feel that plastered smile on her face, even on day 2 and day 3. So that is the small story I want to share. And I would really like to express my gratitude to all you all for helping me to create this small miracle transformational experience here in this part of the world also. Without your help, I wouldn't be able to do so. Thank you so very much. Big hugs to you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Mena. And we do feel the hugs from you too. So Gladys, the journey of Creators of Peace in South Africa has been tremendous, and it has partnered with the city of Johannesburg. And following what Mena has talked about, and as well as Amina, as well as Ahuna, there is the state of grief. What is happening with Creators of Peace in South Africa?
Thank you, Cleo, for giving me this opportunity. My name is Gladys Mabi, and I'm from IFC South Africa as COP facilitator and communications officer, and help with managing projects. So I met COP in 2016, and my first encounter with COP, it was the huge impact for me was realization that I'm in trauma, and I was so comfortable in this trauma. And me realizing that, I thank COP because I managed to work on my trauma and be the better person. And the greatest skills that I got was communication and conflict resolutions, because I was not a person that talks, and I couldn't manage conflicts well because of the lack of communication that I had. But then COP helped me a lot in that. So in South Africa, gender-based violence is a very huge issue that South Africa is facing with, and it's a shadow pandemic in South Africa. And South Africa is one country that is on top of the list of gender-based violence cases. And the stats that South Africa has, it's 8 women out of 10 women are facing gender-based violence. So Creators of Peace in South Africa has always been there to strengthen women to move out of being victims of gender-based violence and stand up for themselves. So COP started in 2007 in South Africa by a woman called Jackie Everard. She's here with us in the call. She gathered few of the IFC South Africa board members and trained them, and out of that, facilitators were also trained as well. So the very first workshop in South Africa happened in KZN in a organization called Kanya Africa Network. So since then, we have been able to partner with a few networks. Just to name a few, it was NGO Sunshine, Push, Ladies of Hope, Oliven Development Academy, and hugely it was the city of Johannesburg municipality. We have reached our participants through training volunteers and staff members, and hugely we have, at the moment, we have only been able to train diaspora community, Blacks and colored communities in South Africa and in Cape Town. Our stats, we have reached 2,350 individuals until today for the period of 14 years. And we have trained over 30 facilitators that are trained. However, at the moment, we only have 5 trainers that are doing COP in South Africa, which are in Johannesburg, Gauteng, and in Cape Town, because others have left us because of death, others have left because of greener pastures, seeking greener pastures, and others just changed the location. So our greatest impact of COP in South Africa was the partnership with City of Johannesburg, like I said, which when we started meeting City of Johannesburg municipality, it was in 2015 when we trained few of their officials. And out of their officials, they saw a need of Creators of Peace, the program that they are having as a municipal to young women and men of the regions of City of Johannesburg municipality. They were giving them a program called Work Readiness Program. So they've realized that after giving them this Work Readiness Program, their beneficiaries are still struggling to get employment. And they saw the need for Creators of Peace. And when we delivered our Creators of Peace to their beneficiaries, they even gave it a name of inner healing. So they were even saying they needed inner healing for them to be able to be employable. So that is what we have done with City of Johannesburg. And within 2018 and 2020 March, we have reached 750 participants within our partnership with City of Johannesburg. And changes that happened within City of Johannesburg municipality was that in first year, we have reached, it was 65% of participants who received employment with the help of inner healing as creators of peace to them. And in the second year, we have reached 50% of them that were able to get employment. And then the third year was interrupted by COVID, which was last year in March. So one of the tools that we use as COP, it is a PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So that results 80% of instant change that we were aware of when we are doing COP workshops. And those participants were saying and uploading the program that now they are able to sleep well or sleep better. They are now able to react better or differently to triggering situations that they are facing in their lives. And our last partnership that we have, it is Olivenhout Development Academy. It is a youth development center that is initiated by a retired social worker and director of City of Johannesburg. So she realized that what the impact that we did in Johannesburg, she's also wanting that to happen in the community that she stays in, which is in Pretoria. So she said she would love us to do the COP, which is inner healing in the language of City of Joburg participants, to Pretoria, which is in the north of Johannesburg as well. So we are strengthening our...
Yes, I'll have
dear.
to cut you a bit, but just allow people to write any question into the chat if they would like to ask. And I'm cutting you only because of time. It's a rich content that we have, and I'd like for us to hear other speakers. But thank you for that, Gladys. And you touched on quite a key element. You talked about now working with the youth. Miranda, in the UK, you have started to translate the creators of peace to be online. I think COVID, it introduced a new level for us. So how has that experience been, where you work with young people and have translated the youth into working or delivering the creators of peace online? How's the experience been?
Hi, thank you, Cleo. And it's so wonderful to hear what's happening everywhere else as well. And it's so beautiful to be in this room with you all. So we're with the pandemic in the UK. So I'm Miranda. I'm one of the UK coordinators of Creators of Peace with Elizabeth. With the pandemic last year, we were searching for ways to take Creators of Peace online, as we saw everything going online, and we wanted to stay in touch with our communities and also to serve our fellow creators of peace women around the world. So it started with us trialing a 90-minute session last year, where we took one of the gathering points from the Peace Circle and turned it into a standalone session to give women a space to reflect on where we are right now. And we did that every 2 weeks online with a different group of women. Sometimes same women came every time, some different women at different times. And it was a really wonderful thing for Elle and I as well to spend that time reflecting. At some point we saw that they'd been taking peace circles online in Australia. So we got in touch with Shoshana and other sisters in Australia and asked their support to ask what worked for them, what wasn't working for them. And then we went for it in September. And then there became a conversation around what's happening for the youth. What can we do for the youth online? Does it work to do a peace circle online specifically aimed at a younger generation? Our insurance in the UK means that we can only work with over 18s. So we are working with 18 to 21-year-olds at the moment specifically. And we've ended up with a very international audience for that peace circle, which is really exciting. And it's slightly more challenging, as we probably all remember being 18, however long ago it was. There's the sense of insecurity maybe, and the difficulty in like finding our voices. So it's really beautiful finding this time to inspire and share with young women who remind me of what it was like when I was first joining Creators of Peace when I was maybe 21, 22. So it's really, really, really beautiful to be having them join us. And one of the things that has really allowed us to do that and to spend more time and dedicate more energy is that in the UK, we've managed to secure 2 paid roles part-time, and that's giving us a lot more time. And as somebody in my 30s, it would be very difficult right now to be doing this without that and giving the time to it. So I'm hoping that the future, the next 30 years, will involve more women being paid for their time as creators of peace. That's me.
Thanks, Miranda. Very, very short into that. I hope I didn't scare you when I cut off Gladys, and I'm sorry for cutting you, Gladys. Just looking after time. Aman, so Syria it's a battlefield, it's a war, and you still fly, the flag of peace. And how has that experience been for you?
Thank you, Cleo, and good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone with us. It's been such a journey. It's been up and down, like being in a roller coaster. I got to know Creators of Peace program when I was in Canada in 2009, and when I came back to Syria, just a few months, the war broke out, and there was a need for Creators of Peace program to come up. And we had to start, and we were running the program in organizations that were approved by the government, because I needed an umbrella. And that was really very, very crucial, because at the time of war, you can talk about peace. People are hurt and people were divided, either with me or against me. You can't be nothing. And for me, I was trying to create a safe zone for everyone to be there. So it was such a journey. COP was a safe zone to allow people to have hope, pain, and to share it with each other. It was a space to learn about each other. And also it was an invitation to face ourselves, to face our weakness, to face our responsibility. It was a space to be freed from anger, prejudice, stereotypes, and hatred. It was a space to be, we can't deal with the war unless, we can't finish the war unless we are all in the circle. We cannot exclude anyone. It was a social gathering for women during the war, when the shells and rockets were hovering over us in Damascus. Women were found that it was a space for them to put everything out and be inside as a human being, and to create a bond of friendship. And that was amazing. I remember one time, just 15 minutes after the city was in a whole massacre, they waited 15 minutes till the blood was clean. All of them called me and they said, we're ready to meet. So during the war, it was a shelter, it was a painkiller. After the war, it's an antibiotic, because we need to heal what was the cause of that war. We need to work on it so our next generation don't fall in the same problem we were in. This journey has been very up and down, but also I was very supported. I was supported by friends from IFC Canada, friends from IFC International, Jeannie Brown, Joy Newman, Roswick, and many other friends around the world who supported me in Lebanon. Lebanon was a space for us to get all the women from Syria and take them to Lebanon in order to learn about the cause, the real cause of war, which is a human being, and everyone is responsible. So it was a journey. Now we have over 250 women who participated in Creators of Peace. We have 7 facilitators, 4 active facilitators, and we are trying to continue after Peace Circle to have other programs like conflict resolution program that Shoshana helped me roll in, and I'm sharing the information. So we are trying to continue, not to stop. I don't know if if the time is running out.
Unfortunately, yes, the time is running out. But phenomenal stories, and isn't it great that we're part of a network that we are not reading about case studies, we see them live in front of us and they can tell us what they're doing. I'm very inspired with what they said, and yeah, the powerful thing you're saying, that during the war, Creators of Peace is like a painkiller, and after the war, Creators of Peace is like an antibiotic. Such a beautiful metaphor to the statements. So ladies, I'm just going to give each of you 2 seconds to say something that you would like to leave with the network. And I'll start with you, Mena.
For me, the strength, whenever I run Peace Circle, I feel that I'm connected with you all. So I don't know how I get that type of feeling within me. Wherever I go, whatever I do, I know working with youth is, as Miranda said, it's very challenging. Like requesting them to stay there for like 2 or 3 hours is such a nightmare. We are trying to contextualize, we are trying to modify the Peace Circle, having some fun activities in the beginning just to build the trust among them, so that they are not going to share that story outside that circle. So that sort of thing I am doing, and I really feel that I'm connected with you all, and I really appreciate the way whenever I reach to Jean, Shoshana, Serena, like Elle, Melinda, Cleo, you and Amina, with whom like whenever I call, they receive, whenever I text, they try to respond me on time, they try to support me. Like even with Iman, and we were working together when she's running Peace Circle, she said, can we work together? So I really like this beautiful, as Shoshana said, is a beautiful web of women. So that I really appreciate, and would like to say thank you to everyone for holding that space. Thank you.
Thank you, Mena. Thank you. Gladys, what would you like to say?
For me, it's an honor for me to be part of women that are creating peace. I'll say in the world. I know in South Africa it's just a drop in the ocean. I know and believe that it's going to spread along all over the world. So I'm very honored to be one of Creators of Peace, because it is so wonderful. I love the space, and I love being me after meeting Creators of Peace. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Getting goosebumps right there. Miranda, your last 2 minutes, 2 second words.
Thank you. Yes, everything that Mina and Gladys just said. The sense of deep love and community and support that we all have for each other, whether we've met each other or not, is the kind of bedrock and foundation of I think where we all act from, and it's just so glorious and joyful to know that we're all holding each other around the world.
Awesome. Thanks, Miranda. Aman, your last words for the
I would say that inner peace, inner trust, and trust that everything can be changeable, no matter how much the situation is bad. Just do the right thing and spread peace and hope. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies. I know wish we would have had more time to hear more, but the ladies are found on the website and we can exchange numbers, and there'll be so much we can link after this. From all that we've heard, and just back to you, ladies, as you've given us good feedback. The chat box is flooding with love from the whole group that's here. Please, thank you, and continue doing the wonderful work. So I'm now asking that we can just take half a minute to just take in everything we've heard before we view the film that marks our 30 years together. Thank you. So this film was created with ladies who gathered the information across the globe. I hope you're gonna love watching it. One thing I would ask right now is do bring in a box of tissue if you'd like, because this is gonna be a walk down memory lane of many, many people we've crossed paths with, and many, many events that we would have done, you would see yourself having done. And just before, again, I know Creators of Peace is for women and inclusive of men. To the men who are in this call, I'd like to say kudos, kudos, kudos. So when the tech is ready, can you please watch the film? It's about 15 minutes long.
Something unique and big, something the world has never seen before.
It's a huge sense of connection that I have with women.
Sometimes just because people have forgotten how to have good conversations with each other.
Forgive the people that had hurt me.
Bonjour tout le monde, nous sommes la délégation du Mali. Vous savez sans nul doute que le Mali a été frappé par deux crises. Nous avons eu une rébellion armée qui a occupé plus des 2/3 du pays, et ensuite nous avons eu un coup d'État. Pour pouvoir gérer cette crise, les femmes n'ont pas été impliqués à hauteur de souhait. Et nous nous sommes dit, nous n'allons pas baisser les bras, nous devons nous impliquer pour la résolution non seulement de cette crise, mais aussi nous faire entendre. Et c'est ce qui nous a amenés à pouvoir initier un programme autour du cercle de paix.
There's something so special about a group of women, and the groups that have come have always been very diverse, sitting together in a circle comfortably and sharing food and opening their hearts, and it's just been so lovely to watch people deeply connect, deeply share.
When you say you can open and talk freely about your feelings, then we also have to accept that we will grieve, will be in pain for them, but also for ourselves, because what is me is you, and what is you is me.
I think the world is stuck in old and destructive narratives, and I think that the fear-based, hate-based, greed-based narratives seem to be running the world, and so we suffer globally, or we find an alternative narrative.
To be an advocate for a new story is a really exciting opportunity to learn how to use language differently.
It means to be really listening to what my truth is about who I am in the world, what I want to be bringing to the future.
There is so much negative story in the media today. I believe we need a new story in our world. The program Creators of Peace has a major role to play in this. It's a program that's already in more than 50 countries, with women who are active and engaged at the grassroots level. And that is already a structure in place that we can use.
Thank you,
We need to change the narrative.
I would say always start with the women. You know, I did some work with UN Women, and I realized that there was so much emphasis on women as the victims of violence, which women are, that we were losing the emphasis on women as the peace builders.
Most of the women have carried the pain for so many years, and they have never known where to run to. And actually, Creators of Peace came to be like a refuge to run to.
It's important that we have as many people creating peace as possible, because there was such a huge war machine in the world, and the military is so strong, and we have a culture of wanting to blame and demonize people. It's part of the human nature, and so we need people to change that, to say, actually, I'm going to end that cycle of violence and revenge.
To create peace in the world, you must first create peace within yourself.
Because the journey of finding who I am, what stops me, and creating my new story is a journey of learning what has stopped me or what has brought me to where I am today, and learning what doesn't serve me.
The problems of today's world won't be solved without women who are empowered to be radical peace builders.
The Peace Circle is a very safe space where you can share and open your heart with women that are like you, where you can take a kind of power and to realize that you can do something and you can change.
For me, the role of peacemaker is to be aware of my feelings and reactions, have an experience of reconciliation with my own father. He abandoned our family, my mother and his 3 young children, but I apologize to them sincerely, and our family life peacefully is being restored.
Every Syrian woman has a responsibility in Syria. So the women have to rebuild our country or our city, help their children, because their maybe husband or their children are killed in the war.
Want to cross that bridge, let's say, or to really be in the and to put ourselves in other streets.
From Lina, I go to the Muslim. I understand Muslim more because Lina introduced me to the Muslim society and the religion.
It's very important to learn how to listen to one another. This is the skills in Creators of Peace program. How to listen with compassion, attentively, with love.
Women are powerful tools of change.
tunaweza watumia kuleta mabadiliko kwa societies. Peace accords were taken to 81 women of Baringo County. The women came from the 3 warring communities, that is the Pokot, the Ilchamus, and the Tugen. The Pokot were the last to be traced. After the training, they accepted that indeed their sons had caused a lot of pain to the Ilchamus and the Tugen communities. As women, they said they would like to apologize on behalf of their community.
Tunataka kusema poleni kwa jamii ambayo tumewatoa katika boma zao, wameenda kuishi msituni kwa sababu ya watoto.
L'objectif lui-même qu'au vise Femmes Artisans de Paix, c'est de pouvoir motiver les femmes, susciter cette maternité. Entre guillemets, quand je parle de maternité, c'est dans le sens burundais. Tout être humain est mère, il engendre. On engendre l'autre quand on l'aide à se relever, quand on suscite un sourire, quand on suscite un espoir, quand on suscite une créativité. Tout être humain est fait pour engendrer, normalement. Engendrons l'espoir pour les générations futures.
Would you consider doing a conference led by women that would allow people to take off their masks and be real?
Yo soy una creadora de paz y juntos podemos crear paz.
Proud Australian creator of peace.
I'm a creator of peace in South Sudan.
I am a creator of peace.
We take this opportunity to congratulate the family of creators of peace across the globe on its 30th anniversary. We look back with pride at all that we have achieved. We also look back with gratitude for the many, many volunteers who, for their love for peace, invested time, skills, and resources to lift many women, girls, and some men from despair to hope, from desperation to freedom. As we celebrate this milestone, we are reminded that the world is not in a good place at the moment. Not with the degradation of the environment, migration, rising of conflict and its impact, divided communities, and the pandemic. We know that there is a need for our work. Can we together sow seeds that will grow to bear bountiful fruits of lasting peace in the course of the next 30 years? To raise the next generation of advocates for a new narrative in their different communities and in the world. We appreciate many individuals and partners who have funded our numerous projects in different countries. As we grow in stature and in structure, we will continue to need your support. We ask for your prayers and good wishes as we continue to care for and mentor our army of volunteers. If you would like to get involved, you can find us on the internet by searching for Creators of Peace. Thank you and happy 30th anniversary.
Creators of peace.
I told you. Told you. It's gonna be the most amazing 30 years that you'll see in 15 minutes. Thank you, Miranda and the team now for creating this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm now going to invite us to just 2 minutes of stretch. If you would want to do that, Mena will be helping us stretch on the call. But if you just want to go grab a glass of water and come back, just 2 minutes. And I'm kindly asking, we're just running behind with a few minutes. So let's just work together with time. I guess it happens with Zoom. And again, how do you actually celebrate 30 years in 2 hours? Just how? So 2 minutes, Mena, if you would like to make a stretch, but for those who would like to grab a glass of water, please do.
Yes. Thank you, Cleo. I would like everyone, just stand up. Wherever you are, stand up now. So this is a task for you. It's not actually stretching up. It's a task for you. The task is that you need to write creators of peace. So in COP from your body parts. So let's start with your head. Right, C, O, and then P. Oh, I saw Olga is writing in small letter, write in capital letter. So now from your hands, just write C, O, stretch your hand properly, and then P. Okay, it's with your hip, right? C, O, and then P. Done? Again, C, O, P. Thank you, team. Okay.
God.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Sorry,
Thanks, Mena. Yeah, it was good to just shake the tummy. So we're now swiftly going into our breakout rooms. Slide, please. So as mentioned, there will be 5 different conversations in 5 different rooms. We're just gonna pop up the slide soon. And whilst we're waiting for the slides, just to say, within the rooms, there is no interpretation. So it doesn't work in the rooms. And we still request that you do mute yourself so that you could hear people. Just open your mute when you have to speak, or please continue using the chat. So here's the pop-up that we have. So if what you do with the breakout room, below on your bottom bar of your computer or your phones, you'll see there's a bar strip that has breakout rooms. I do apologize if I'm causing any inconvenience, but this really has been a memorial, has been a really heartwarming time together to reflect on these 30 years together. So do please allow us extra few minutes to wrap up. So the next task that we have at the moment, our theme was called Shared Grief and Gratitude. We've talked about the different things that grieve us. We've heard from different speakers, and it's now time to share a little bit of gratitude. And I'm asking that we use the chat box at the moment and think of anyone, could be on this call, could be anywhere else, who's part of your team, who's part of your friends, and you would like to write a gratitude message. So please use the chat, and I'm inviting everybody to share the spirit of gratitude, and write a grateful message to anyone on the chat box. Elle and Miranda just helped me read out some of the chats that will be coming through.
Thank you to Jean for holding us all, from Elle. And thank you from me to Mary, Elle, and Sue for getting me here.
Thanks, Miranda. Thanks for the tech team who made this possible. That's from Ulrike.
A huge thank you to my Sydney and Australian COP tribe for their friendship. That's from Zora. Friendship and support.
Jane says, congratulations to the 30th anniversary. I'm blessed to be part of this day.
Mayuri says, thank you, and Jerry, Ahana, and Steph for introducing me to Peace Circles.
Thank you, Amina, for your leadership.
Gratitude to Jean and Mike Brown, who've been a great part of my IFC and COP journey, from Diana Dancer.
Zora said, I'd love to say a huge thank you to my Sydney Australian COP tribe for their friendship and support over the years.
Gabriella says, thanks to Diana for introducing me to this amazing group of women. Purple Heart.
To Jean from Shoshana for creating our wonderful Peace Circles.
From Rekha, thank you, everybody.
From Amina, thanks to Ahuna for fun friendship. Oops, and it popped up.
From Maria in Colombia, thank you, Elle, Monica, and Mary for the work on the circle we shared.
From Mayuri, thank you, and Jerry, Archana, Steph for introducing me to Peace Circles.
Mary thanks me for coming and to all the COP team in the UK for friendship and enthusiasm. Thank you to Amina for your leadership, from Valerie.
Thanks to all the national coordinators for faithful leadership. This is from Amina.
Thank you from Diana Danza. Gratitude to Jean and Mike Brown, who've been a great part of my IFC and COP journey. Manu Grande says, gratitude to you all backstage who did a great job holding the celebrations.
Regina says, thank you, Lorette, who's not here, for inviting me to my first encounter with Jean Brown. It changed my life.
Jonathan Ranger, this has been a very worthwhile time and most inspiring. Thank you, Cleo, for all the team for a superb hosting.
Mega in India says, thank you to Mayuri and Lata for dreaming together with me.
Shoshana says, Jean, thank you for creating our wonderful Peace Circles.
Malay says, thanks COP for touching souls. Thanks Betty from Uganda for inviting me.
Regina Morris, thank you Loretta. She's not present here, for inviting me for our first encounter with Jean Brown. It changed my life.
Goodness, there's a lot of these, I think.
I know, the problem. Diana Dancer says to everybody, gratitude to those who put the call together and made this celebration possible.
Gratitude to Sue Riddle and Shabibi Shah, who have also come to Romania to get Peace Circle started. That's from Diana.
Rose in Kenya says, thanks for COP Global for this time, for the space, sorry.
We've got Rose saying kudos to the tech team, so thank you for Olga and Sebastian for today.
Yes.
Thank you. We've got 1 more minute. If you still feel the urge to type something and say thank you to somebody, let's just share the gratitude. Liz says, thanks to Shoshana for all the, oh my goodness, and it pops. Sorry.
Yeah, this week said, thank you to Shoshana for all her amazing training for facilitators.
Thanks to Goretti, who's cared for me in my second year in Co, from Diana Dancer.
Thank you to Maria Nwasu for introducing me to COP, and Sandra Owosene for my first Peace Circle. Thank you, COP, and that's from Chinese.
Okay.
Thanks to Jean and Shoshana for shoulders to cry on, from Amina.
And we've got we've got Teddy Grace here from South Sudan, who is on our current Youth Peace Circle. Thank you to Elizabeth for introducing me to COP. I'm blessed to be meeting everybody here. Sending you love.
Thank you. And I'll just pause there for us to wrap up. Let the gratitudes keep flowing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, we've heard so much, and a couple of statements we've heard from Ahuna says, there's little that we did not know when the Creators of Peace program started, that it would be needed in this time. talked about that human development needs to expand the choices that we need to have in today's world. We see there's more need in the growth of mental space and that people need deeper grace. And also talked about creators of peace could be a tool that helps to close the poverty in material and poverty in spirituality. It has really been a pleasure to hear everything, the case study, and everybody who shared this space with us. I'd like to thank you, Ahuna, for making this space to share your wisdom with us. I'd like to thank you, Auntie Amina, for your selfless leadership, for your countless mentoring calls to all of us across the globe. You never cease to say no to us when we knock on your door or write your WhatsApp and say, Auntie, can we talk? Thank you to the organizers. There's a big team, Elle, Miranda, Jean, Mena, Listella, Mayuri. There's quite a big team of us who've been thinking along for the past 6 weeks on how to make this time special. Thanks, Olga. Thanks, Sebastian, for your tech experience into this. Thank you to the interpreters, Erica, Renu, and Hidayah. You have been phenomenal into holding the space that no one felt segregated because of the language they speak. And I'd like to thank each one of you for making the time to be with us and to make sure that you celebrate this. This is a recorded meeting, and I think as soon as the recording is available, we will also put it on our YouTube channel, and it would be available on request. So there are a few websites to also reach us. The Advocate for a New Story, and if we could pop up the link on the chat. And there's also the Creators of Peace International website, www.iofc.org/Creators of Peace COP. And there's also country representative, which the link was shared a bit earlier on into our chats. We will share this link again when we circulate our thank you report. We value you just as much as you value us and just as much as you value the program. It has been a pleasure. May we enjoy the rest of our afternoon for those whose afternoon. May we enjoy our night for those who are going to bed, and may we enjoy our day for those whom it's morning. God be with you. And indeed, as we've heard, peace is not the absence of war, but it is the presence of justice. Thank you. Bye from everybody. We can unmute and start saying goodbye to each other.
Thank you, Cleo.
Thank you.
Thank you much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Night, night.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Jean.
I love you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy anniversary.
Happy
Happy anniversary.
Bon anniversaire.
Happy anniversary.
4 years.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks,
Maya.
Bye,
Nana.
Bye.
Bye,
Jerry.
Good. Hi, everyone.
Bye.
Miss you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Shoshana, thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Cleo,
Thank you.
Great job, Cleo. Great job.
Well done, Cleo.
Cleo.
Well done, Cleo.
Thank you, Cleo.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Yay.
Angelo. Thank you, Angelo. Bye.
Oh, God.
Thank you, Tina.
Happy anniversary. Happy everything. Yeah.
Happy anniversary.